Let us talk now with Geoff Schwartz, the former NFL player, retired NFL guard for, 8 years. His brother is a star on the Kansas City Chiefs currently. He is the host of the Block 'em Up podcast, author of the book, Eat My Schwartz. I love what he writes in his Twitter intro. I make bomb food, just a fat kid living a dream. And you can find him at Geoff Schwartz, but it's Geoff. Geoff, thank you for joining me.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
We want to keep it light and take a break from the serious stuff we often do on the program. We understand from the book and your frame and your previous career that the Schwartz brothers can eat quite a bit. Talk to us a little bit about that and about your book. Maybe a lot of people are listening during dinner time.
Yeah, well, the food thing. So my brother plays for the Chiefs now. We were always large growing up. And my parents had an industrial-sized freezer in the garage. So it was, 6.5 feet tall, 7 feet tall, 5 feet wide. And they used to fill it with meat and poultry and fish. And an order would be 6 months worth. And when I was in high school, my brother was in 9th grade, we would finish it in about 2.5 months. So we can put down the food really well.
Is it just the two of you in the family, or maybe you had 10 brothers and sisters?
Yeah, no, just mom, dad, and the two of us.
And your parents, did you get it genetically from them? Great eaters themselves?
Well, my dad was, back in the day, I'd say. He's a bigger guy. I mean, he's thin, but he's a bigger, put-together guy. My mom's 5'9", so, we just have always loved eating.
Was your mom a particularly great cook, or did it not matter because of the appetite you guys had?
No, she was good. We liked her food. So, and then, we started to learn to cook ourselves just because necessity for wanting to cook ourselves, wanting to eat ourselves.
Did you ever do any competitive eating competitions, even informally with your friends? And I asked that because I participated 3 times in Philadelphia's Wing Bowl. I had to qualify.
No, I did not. No, I did not.
You never thought about it? You never wanted to go up there and do something like that?
Possibly. Now I don't. Now I don't eat for bulk like I used to. My brother and I think I had 80 to 100 pieces of sushi in a sitting one time.
That's impressive because the rice filled you up.
Yes, I know.
200. Okay. I hope it wasn't one of those all-you-can-eat places because I'm a little suspicious of all-you-can-eat sushi, just the quality of the fish that they might be doing if they see someone your size coming in. Anyhow, let's move on to football. I imagine you're willing to talk about football a little bit here. You know a little bit about that. Okay. The producers of this show are crazy football fans, and they were very, very upset at the call. Your brother, Mitchell, was on the offensive line with the Chiefs. On the other end, playing left tackle, was Eric Fisher. They were happy where I was. I was at a Steelers bar in Chicago at the time. But it probably cost the Chiefs the game. They obviously had to do a 2-point conversion right afterwards from a distance. What are your thoughts on that whole situation?
It was a holding, but it was a very ticky-tack holding call. I feel like in that situation, you kind of have to let that go. And even James Harrington said after the game that normally doesn't get called. I think in that situation, it's really tough to justify calling that right there.
Sure. And you think the refs probably should have laid off it and just let them play the game at that point because it wasn't that egregious?
Yes, I should have. Yeah, it doesn't mean the Chiefs would have won, but just the fact that they would have, they would have had a chance, to compete at the end. I think it was a ticky-tack call situation.
You played 4 years for the Carolina Panthers, 2008 to 11, then spent some time with the Vikings, Chiefs, and Giants after that. Do you root for the Chiefs now because your brother's on the team, or do you root for the Panthers? I mean, it's not inconceivable that they could meet in the Super Bowl. Who's your first allegiance to?
The Chiefs for sure. I really enjoyed my 1 year there, and obviously with my brother, I root for him. And I keep a close watch on the teams I played for. I don't particularly root. I mean, I'm in the media business now, so it'd be hard for me to root for 4 or 5 teams at once. But I mean, my alliance to the Chiefs is no surprise to anyone who follows me anywhere.
You grew up in L.A., and I guess you became aware of football just for a couple years before the Rams and Raiders moved out, and I guess the Chargers are there now. Did you have a favorite team when you were a kid?
Yeah, I was a 49er fan. My dad grew up in San Francisco area in Santa Rosa, and so I grew up a Niners fan. So, that was at the tail end of Joe Montana, but it was Steve Young and, Jerry Rice was a little older, Ricky Waters, Deion Sanders, that whole 94 team that won the Super Bowl.
When you got a little older, were you a big T.O. fan? We loved him in Philly when he was there for that brief time.
Yeah, he had that big catch over the middle to in the playoff game, and the post route. Yeah, for sure.
Did your dad say that's not proper sportsmanship when he did the whole thing with the Dallas Star, which I love, but I'm pretty anti-Dallas myself. That was like one of my.
I don't remember that. I don't remember the play. I don't remember if my dad. No, I remember the play. I don't remember if my dad was using it as a teaching moment or not.
Gotcha. Who were your favorite quarterback and running back to block for in your years in Carolina or elsewhere?
Well, luckily for me, I've had 4 outstanding running backs I blocked for. I blocked for D'Angelo Williams and Jonathan Stewart and Jamal Charles and Adrian Peterson. Pretty lucky to be able to do that. I think that we had success in all those places. It would be hard for me to say, who was better to block for. I think they all were excellent, and obviously, a couple of those guys will be Hall of Famers. And, playing with a running back like that makes your job a lot easier. As far as quarterbacks, I played with not as many great quarterbacks, but Eli Manning definitely 2 Super Bowl winner. He was so much fun to play with because he just put us in the right position every time. And I always felt confident that Eli was going to get the job done. And just playing with him was comfortable. I really enjoyed it. And he's super talented. I mean, the throws he can make, not many other quarterbacks I played with. In fact, probably not many of them could have done it. Playing with Alex Smith in Kansas City in 2013 was his first year there. And, I was not aware of how athletic he was. And he's a great leader. And they keep going to the playoffs and keep winning games. So I really enjoyed playing with those 2 guys.
Did you particularly like playing for one certain coach, or really were they all great in different levels, or maybe you didn't like them? What can you tell us about the coaches?
I mean, I think coaches. I've had 6 head coaches. I mean, I think I really liked all of them. I mean, I really can't complain. I don't think. I mean, your interaction with the head coach is not always a lot. You're more with your position coach, your OC. But my last real coach, Tom Coughlin, for the last 2 years, I liked him. I think he ran a good program. I think he's a good coach. He's going to make the Hall of Fame most likely as a coach, and he's was outstanding to play for.
You know what? I want to ask you about 2 of the players you mentioned. First of all, Jamal Charles just signed with the Denver Broncos. It seems like he has a little bit of a chip on his shoulder, and of course he's had 2 ACL injuries in the past. What do you think of that signing? Is Denver crazy to think he might have anything left at this point?
Well, I mean, if he's checked out medically, he still wants to play. As someone who's been injured and been released basically for injury, you never want to end your career on that. You always want to at least try to come back. So maybe he comes back and he isn't what he used to be, but he at least gets to play a little bit and kind of go out on his own note. And maybe he's going to do great. And I think that Chiefs fans should cheer him when he comes back. But it's okay to boo him once he gets the ball.
Gotcha. Now, interesting situation in Kansas City. They're really on the verge of, a Super Bowl, I guess, if you can say that about a team. They have this problem in the AFC, a lot of teams called the New England Patriots and Tom Brady. But I'm curious, you mentioned Alex Smith. How do you think he is dealing with the fact that the Chiefs moved up in the draft to draft Patrick Mahomes? Is the writing on the wall for him? Is this year really his last chance? And what do you think if you're a player in that situation?
Well, Alex is a professional. They drafted Colin Kaepernick, who's in San Francisco, so he's dealt with this before. They let him know they were going to draft Pat Mahomes at some point, or any quarterback. I think they targeted Mahomes early on, and I think he'll handle it great. He's a pro, and he will help Mahomes out. But Alex is the starter for this year and probably next year. Mahomes came from offense that's nothing like what Andy Reid runs. He even said that in his press conference. Coach Reid did. So, Mahomes is a project guy, and Alex still has a couple years left, and I think he'll be fine with the situation.
Andy Reid, you mentioned, I know him pretty well, being a Philadelphia Eagles fan myself. What stories does your brother tell you about him? I mean, we have the idea of him as, you know, they were a little frustrated with him in the end in Philly. Like, the move was probably good, but everyone says what a mensch, and you're Jewish too, so I can use that word. He is just a good person, and you root for him to win. Is that your brother's impression? You have any particular stories you can share?
Well, I played with him as well in 2013.
Oh,
so,
right, 2013.
Yeah.
Yes.
I love Coach Reid. He really is a genuinely good person.
Yeah.
And I don't know if there's a particular story, but the personality you see from him in public is how he's with us. And I think why a lot of guys like playing for him is he really treats you like an adult. That's so cliche, but you know, if you give him your effort, he will treat you very well, if that makes sense. And so he's just a lovable guy. He loves football, loves to eat. A lot of us love to eat as well, and it's a good marriage, and I really enjoy playing with him, and my brother loves it as well.
You know, it's funny you mentioned treating players like adults, because I think one of the criticisms of the Eagles' next coach, who you played for in college, Chip Kelly, is his ability to get along with pro players as opposed to college players. I mean, you may have only nice things to say about him, but why do you think it hasn't gone well for him in the pros?
His scheme is tough. It's hard to run that in NFL. When you run that spread offense like you do, you know, the defense is on the field for a lot of plays, and the defense plays, you know, when the defense plays 2 extra games essentially in reps throughout the season, they just get tired. And when you end up, you know, when you end up taxing your defense and your offense can't stay on the field, you just give up a lot of points. That's what kept happening.
Gotcha. I guess that's time for one final question. Anything you want to share about being Jewish in the NFL, which is not a common situation?
You know, I think it's very unique, obviously, and you know, a lot of my teammates are very curious about the religion, and you know, my brother and I have tried to explain it to them. We've had them over for Hanukkah and done other celebrations with them, and you know, I think that I've experienced no anti-Semitism. It's been excellent, and I think the curiosity, a lot of guys are curious, and it's fun to talk to them about religion.
Geoff Schwartz, 8-year NFL offensive lineman and author of Eat My Schwartz and host of the Block 'em Up podcast. Thank you for joining me today at Shark Nation Radio.